Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CD News, curriculum development at all time. And today's week, we're going to talk about curricular evaluation. So let's start with that topic. I'm reporter Eric Carrillo. And what do we have with curriculum evaluation? In curriculum evaluation, in which there is a recollection of data from a program to determine its value or worth with the aim of deciding whether to adopt, reject, or revise the program. Evaluation is very important because the public want to know whether the curriculum implemented has achieved the aims and objectives. Teachers want to know whether what they are doing in the classroom is effective. In curriculum evaluation should be concerned with assessing the value of program of study, course of study, and field of study. Program of study is a program of study consists of courses required to complete a specific degree, inclusive of required coursework within the major, concentration, minor, and catalog. The specific courses for a student are identified through a degree evaluation tool available to you through a student portal. Course of study or curriculum outlines the coursework needed to meet an educational goal. These terms refer to a structured academic programs that can result in achievements such as certificate or degrees. There are usually numerous classes that must be taken to complete a curriculum. And finally, field of study. An academic discipline, a field of study, is a branch of knowledge taught and research as a part of higher degree. A scholar discipline is commonly defined by the university's faculties and learned societies, to which they belong to the academic journals in which they publish research. And now to reporter Isaac Barba with his news. Go on, Isaac.
Curriculum evaluation objectives. Number one, to determine the outcomes of a program. Number two, to help in declaring whether to accept or reject a program. Number three, as to ascertain the need for revision of the course content. Four, to help in the future development of the curriculum material for continuous improvement. Number five, and the last, to improve methods of teaching and instructional techniques. Types of curriculum evaluation according to Scriven. Formative evaluation, summative evaluation, and diagnostic evaluation. Formative evaluation. Its purpose is to contribute to the improvement of the educational program. The merits of the programs are evaluated during the process of its development. The evaluation results provide information to the program developers and enable them to correct flaws they detect in the program. Summative, the final effects of the curriculum are evaluated on the basis of its stated objectives. It takes place after curriculum has been fully developed and put into operations. Diagnostic evaluation. Diagnostic evaluation is directed toward two purposes, either for placement of students properly at the outset of instructional level, such as secondary school, or to discover the underlying cause of the deviance in students learning in any field of study. Other types of curriculum evaluation, it is according to functions, approaches, and natural reference. The types: placement, formative, summative, diagnostic, criterion reference, and not reference. Number one, placement. The function: determine possession of prerequisite skills, degree of mastery of course. Formative: determine or learning process progress, provide feedback for reinforcement of learning and correct learning errors. Determine and of course achievement for assessing grades of certain certifying mastery of objectives. Diagnostic: determine causes, intellectual, emotional, or environment of persistent learning difficulties. Criterion of reference: describe pupil performance in the terms of a specific dominant of instructionally relevant task. Non-reference: describe pupil performance in terms of relative position in some known group. The last types of evaluation is according to the process, product, and person under consideration. Number one, student evaluation. Number two, institutional evaluation. Three, program evaluation. And last, personal evaluation. And now, with reporter Sherlyn Huertas.
Now, what is supervision? Here we have three different concepts and their authors. The first mentioned that the supervision of instruction is what a school personnel do with adults and things to maintain or change the school operation in ways to directly influence. The second say that instructional supervision is a process of working with teachers to improve classroom instruction. And the last is mentioned that supervision is instructional leadership that relates perspective to behavior, clarify purposes, contributes to and supports organizational actions, coordinates interactions. Werner and Goodyear. Supervision is an intervention that is provided by a senior member of a profession to a junior member or members of that same profession. The features. Here we have supervision is an intervention, is provided by a senior member of a profession, is a relationship that extends over time and needs for supervision. The first supervision is an intervention. There are unique competencies and skills involved in supervision that allow the supervisor to help the supervisee. Models of supervision exist that provide a framework for the process. Supervision is provided by a senior member of a profession. A clinical supervisor is more advanced, at least in some important ways, than the supervisee. Supervision is a relationship that extends over time. Here we have important points. The process of supervision occurs within the relationship established between the supervisor and supervisee. It is important to keep in mind that both the supervisor and supervisee contribute to the relationship and have responsibilities within the process. As an assumption of supervision is that it will last long enough for some developmental progress of the supervisee. Supervision is differentiated from brief interactions such as workshops. The fact that supervision is ongoing allows for the relationship to grow and develop, and also the need for supervision. Supervision is needed to provide the expert technical assistance, foreground of teachers to help prepare teachers for learning, to keep teachers up to date, to provide democratic professional leadership. And from Miami, here we have a Belén Freire. Go, Belén.
Thank you, Sherlyn, and hello to our all audience. So I will talk about innovation and change. So if you are a director of any school, you could take notes. One of the most challenging features that the schools have now is the innovation. So some attitudes to change is a change seems to come at us from all directions, and our response to it may be particularly determined by weather. We think the change is a good idea. The reason for the change is clear. We feel we have this resource to deal with the change. We are involved in the process, and we are confident that the change will be introduced successfully. So we have the levels of change. The systematic is the educational system have concerns that are addressed by attend at organizational renewal. The whole school, it is the administrator leader leadership style will to a large extent determine the types of change that are likely to occur. And finally, at classroom level, individual teachers and teacher librarians are in an ideal position to instigate, innovate, practice, and process. Then we have the educational innovation. To apply this, you can change is a learning process. Change is a journey, not a blueprint. Problems arise from the change process. Change is resource hungry. Change requires local power to manage it, and change is systematic. Making decisions, it is very important to have clear how to make decisions. It is the most critical aspect of educational management. For this, we have three types of decisions. The institutional decision, that decisions related scheduling or policy making concern programs and activities and curricula. Then we have the strategy decisions. This call for identifying appropriate strategies or tactics to move the institutions from one existing to another expected situation. And finally, the administrator behavior decision. Hence, all new administrative situations requires a specific, relevant, and meaningful behavior for success. Then we have another classification of decision making. The status quo decision. This emerges when administrators decide not to change the situation. Then we have the fear situation decision. It means not decide at this time. A new course decision, it implies starting a whole new direction. And response decision, it implies an actual response to the situation. So thank you. We return to the studies with Eric.
And that is all for our CD News this week. We want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in to our broadcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night.